rings and clubs, the three main props. Sure, there are lots of other juggling props, but most of toss juggling stems from these three items. It's no secret that there are more props left to be discovered, but today we're going to be talking about a group who took exploration of prop development to the extreme, as well as take a look at some of the stuff they were able to discover. Before I start the video, I just wanted to say I now post new content like this every week, so if you're new, be sure to subscribe. It's free. Enjoy the video. The group I'm referring to is, of course, Renegade Design Lab. But before we can talk about RDL, we must first talk about Renegade Juggling. Renegade Juggling is a US-based juggling manufacturer and store that was co-founded over 25 years ago by duo Tom Kidwell and Yaman Lizarazu. They specialized for years in making juggling clubs known as Renegades.
This one has a wooden dowel. This is the Renegade 85s club.
The Renegade 85mm. It's got a nice taped handle.
At the time, Renegades were some of, if not the most popular mass-produced juggling clubs. But as juggling evolved, so did our props. And despite the Renegades' decrease in popularity over the last couple decades, Renegade Juggling is still the most diverse catalog of juggling equipment you will ever find on the internet. From play juggling to Henry's, you really can't go wrong if you're looking for new equipment and live in the USA. Now, back to Renegade Design Lab. What is it? Renegade Design Lab, or RDL for short, is a collaboration between Renegade Juggling and Jay Gilligan that was formed around 2008 to push juggling and the culture surrounding it to a place it had never been before. Tom and Yaman of Renegade were obviously a big part of this new project. While Tom and Yaman both juggled, Yaman brought a very unique skill set to the table. With a PhD in astrophysics and a skill set in rotomolding, she seemed to be the brains of RDL that brought the ideas to life. There was once a website for Team RDL, which has since been taken down, but thanks to the power of the internet and the Wayback Machine, we are able to recover some of what existed of the site. If we take a look at their manifesto, it reads as follows. RDL imagines and constructs new conceptual juggling equipment. The point, circle, and line are represented by the ball, ring, and the club. We are on a quest to find the fourth shape. Along the way, we hope to build a community and context of friends, family, and freedom. RDL hopes to bring juggling back to its roots. We do not care about distinctions between art, sport, entertainment, competitions, exhibitions, or presentations. Juggling history is being written as we speak, and with so many advances in our field, it's time we start thinking about not only what we do, but what we do it with. It's time to not only look at the moves, but at the shapes the moves are being done with. As kids, we practiced until our hands were bleeding. We got older, but we never grew up. We still spend hours each day alone in a gym, giving objects a tiny breath of life. RDL is the next logical step in the evolution of juggling. RDL is juggling for juggling's sake. RDL is the fourth shape. Team RDL existed because of an unattainable target known as the fourth shape, a term popularized by Jay Gilligan. Remember what I said in the beginning about the ball, ring, and the club? The fourth shape refers to a hypothetical fourth shape. To clarify, I don't believe the fourth shape is something to discover, but more of a way to push juggling beyond where it has ever been. The fourth shape isn't something that needs to be found, but rather something to remind us that there is more to juggling beyond what we know. Let's take a quick look at the core juggling team, or Team RDL. This was the group responsible not for creating the props, but for tinkering with the props and discovering what makes each prop unique. First, of course, is Jay Gilligan, an American juggler who revolutionized juggling time and time again, but that's a topic for another video. Let's just stick to the basics for now. When you think of Team RDL, the first thing you probably think of is Jay. And how can you not? He's the soul of the entire project. and he even created an entire show dedicated to tricks with these foreign objects. Not to mention the talks he's given with RDL props over the years. Without Jay, we wouldn't have Team RDL.
But it wasn't until 19 years after I started juggling that I asked myself, why?
Next is Eric O'Berry. You may know him today for his viral Ghost Cube sculptures, which recently garnered a positive reaction and a successful Kickstarter campaign. He is not only a juggler, but one of the few juggling historians of our time. Luke Wilson is another visionary juggler on the team, having a large impact on club juggling and juggling as a whole. Luke had a unique style of juggling that made waves in the community still visible today. Sadly, he passed away in 2012. Wes Peden needs no introduction. Considered to be one of the greatest juggling innovators of our time, Wes seems to be everyone's favorite juggler, whether it's because of his live shows, his films, or his personality. There's a reason so many people like Wes Peden. And finally, Patrick Elmner rounded out the team with his formidable ring juggling techniques. You may know him from the trio show Water on Mars, or perhaps from the trio video film Water on Mars. But historically on the internet, he can be found alongside Wes Peden, a team of 5 jugglers with a common goal. I think skill-wise, they had a pretty diverse cast, which is a good move, because each prop that they create could be seen from multiple different perspectives. As for the Design Lab, the team who designed and created the props, you could see there's quite a bit of overlap with Team RDL. Of the various items Team RDL has concocted over the years, there's quite a lot of them. Some you've seen, some you've probably never heard of, and some that never saw the light of day. When you first look at them, you might notice that all the shapes are created with broken pieces of balls, rings, and clubs. This ties into Jay's idea of destructive creation.
We have, as an artist, what I call a choice of destructive creation. Destructive creation means that I'm a juggler. I don't know how to mold industrial mold, injection mold plastic. That's not my specialty. But I can destroy something to create something new. It means I can cut, break, bend, twist, or glue shapes that already exist.
Let's talk about some of these shapes. Starting off with different ring shapes, we have triangles and squares. Seems like an obvious step to create a triangle, right? This style of juggling, where all the props link together, is a very common theme within Team RDL, so I hope you get used to it. This blocky, obtuse style is an important part of the RDL process for a number of reasons. Sure, you could just juggle the triangle like a ring, but you're not fully utilizing the unique attributes of the shape itself. The best way to utilize the shape is by having the shape interact with itself or with your body. While there was at least one person juggling triangle-shaped objects before Team RDL, they were the first juggling triangles that could be bought. Today the triangle isn't popular really at all, but there is one juggler named Isaac who pushes triangle juggling, doing things like 7 triangle flat fronts. Jackson Ford is still creating triangle tricks, but other than that, it doesn't seem like triangle juggling has really caught on. Squares seem to not be used even more so. I could count the number of people I've seen use them on one hand. It definitely doesn't seem like they were as popular as the triangle, albeit neither of them really seemed like they were that popular to begin with. But no, we're not done there. They've also made an octagon ring, a dodecagon ring, and an inner pentagon ring, which apparently they made the inner pentagon ring, but they never made just a full pentagon ring. It's a little strange. I wonder if they did make that, and then they were like, nah, let's just, screw it. We'll just do whatever we want at this point. I have no idea what they were thinking. Anyway, most of these I've never seen in real life, on video or in person, but this isn't even the weirdest of the shapes. Finally, we have the D ring, the D plus ring, and the track ring, which has the unique ability of rolling balls inside of it. I think at this point, it's just apparent that Renegade Design Lab is not worried about if these items will sell or not. They're just trying to create as many unique products for people to try out, which I think is pretty cool. There's also different club shapes that are interesting, to say the least. First of all, we have one of the most iconic RDL shapes, the Holy Club. It is simply a club with a hole cut right through the middle of the body. The amazing thing about these is that they can be used as normal clubs without issue, only now they have a hole to place balls and clubs through. The original version of these clubs were made by Jay Gilligan's father. Out of all the RDL shapes, this club mod is perhaps the most popular shape that they've designed, as these clubs pop up at every other festival that I attend. In addition, you can find jugglers like Mark Williams, Stephen Doubt, and Jackson Ford still using these shapes in their Instagram and YouTube clips. Another popular club shape, the Cuphead, is an instant classic shape. Not only is it a fully functioning club, but it also has a cup on the top for catching different props, like balls. The Cuphead club was made by taking a Renegade Fathead club, cutting off the top, and gluing it on upside down. A simple design with great results. Wes, one of the Team RDL members, has a history of mixing RDL props together to make routines. One example of this is a Holy Club, Cuphead, and ball routine from his film Synthetic, or a square, circle, triangle routine from Plaid. The flathead clubs, on the other hand, seem like the most useless of the club shapes. The purpose of the flathead club was to be able to stand it on end easier, but it doesn't make it easier by that much. Speaking from personal experience, if a flathead were to be remade, I would expect it to have a much wider bulb, making the balance much easier. Because, as it currently stands, the Cuphead does a better job at being flat than the actual flathead does. Let's talk about some of the more obscure shapes, the ones that were never made for sale on Renegade Juggling at all. Starting off, we have the linked rings. There are a couple variations of these, but for the purposes of this video, we'll just call them the linked rings. This is one that could be very easily replicated at home by breaking a ring and taping it back together over another ring, making this one much more accessible to anyone who wanted to try the shape for themselves. We also have a couple of favorites of mine, not really sure what to call them, but these fused rings, these fused ring shape things. These two fused ring things were some of my absolute favorite when I first found out about RDL. It's a shame they never sold them, probably because shipping on something that big and fragile would be tedious. The final shape I want to talk about today is the twin cane. This twin clutch shape. Out of all the RDL shapes I've seen, this has gotta be the coolest. The way these link together are a blast to watch. They move so mechanically, and the symmetry of the hooks on both sides makes for a clean prop manipulation. There are a handful of people who do a lot of cane juggling, but they are a pain to deal with because you always have to be conscious about what direction the hook is facing. That plus the weird weight distribution, I would much rather see tricks with these than with canes. So again, what's the point of all this? Where is juggling going next? Well, if there's anything I would take away from this experience, it's that you don't need a juggling prop to create. In fact, sometimes it's fun to just pick up random items, explore them, see what makes them unique. Jugglers are so stuck on balls, rings, and clubs, so changing one simple aspect about what you're juggling can revolutionize your technique and open possibilities you haven't thought of before. This video was a lot of fun to make. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I'd like to give a shout out to all my Patreons out there. You supported this video. Thank you for all of your support. If you would like to support videos like this, then please consider subscribing to my Patreon. You can get exclusive content. Also, if you haven't, be sure to check out my new video, Joyride to Heaven, for free on Vimeo. Throw your mouse into that subscribe button, and I'll see y'all next time.